Okay, great. Yeah, I need to apologize. There was some unexpected construction going on outside my. So yeah, it's out of my control. But if you cannot hear me, we might have to reschedule. But this is the last thing I want to do, though. Yeah, thank you for the understanding. Yeah, so yeah, this morning I was trying to focus with Russia, but this is what it is. I have scheduled it. I don't want to reschedule. Yeah, just thank you for understanding. I will try my best. Yeah, for sure. Before I get into myself, thank you so much for your time today interviewing me. Really appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, my name is Yao Kun. I'm currently a full stack developer at a consulting company where I'm delivering, a web app or machine learning project to my clients. It really depends on what they need. And also in my free time, I enjoy hanging out with family. Also, doing a master's program, online master's program in computer science. And yeah, so like a couple of weeks ago, I came across your job description, and I was very interested. That's why I went ahead and applied. Yeah, that's me. I understand. Hold on. Let me write it down. So there's a library going on, and anyone else? Okay. Sorry, what phone that they're using? Rotary phone? Oh, that was great. Sounds good. And so this is like a system design question. Wonderful, wonderful. And so I need to do a share screen, right? So and then show it to you my potential design. Okay, okay. Let me. I'm gonna go with a notepad if that's okay. Just it's a design. Yeah. Uh, that that's the best. Okay, great. Yeah, just get to the basic. And then if we want to draw it, and then we can have a paint drawing board as well. I mean, whatever suits our goal, but great. That's great. And I'm gonna have these two guys side by side. If we want to draw it, we can draw it. We can type, we can type. And first thing I want to ask is about. Let me repeat what you just mentioned. Then just make sure that I have the right thing. So we have like a library company. Let's say a City of Toronto library, right? So we have the three branches, right? And and now what we're going to do is to share information like a borrowing and also lending of books across the three sites. So we are like some sort of like a centralized database or centralized system, I would say, that allows librarian or potential customers to borrow or lending to keep track of the inventory, really. And you're talking about the short term in nature, right? You're talking about this is not a novel. This is not novel. This is like a short term, like a magazine kind of thing. But how does that fact been impacting our design today? Yeah. Oh, okay, okay. So that means the response time need to be get to the hours. Right. Okay. 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 So essentially, let's say if we borrow a book from the A site, the site number A, and then that should be get reflected in the system within like 1 hour. I don't, okay, okay, yeah. So that is our well, it's kind of like a performance goal targeting that we targeting. It has to be updated once every an hour at the latest, and also the scalability. So how many books are we keeping track of? 1 billion books. Okay. Right, right. Yeah. Great, great. That's a great way to put it. It's a media, so it could be like a video game, CDs or DVDs or Blu-ray, what they have. Great. Yeah. So it's thank you for making this interview a little bit less stressful. That's a great joke. Um, so we're talking about the resources. Let's say a billion items to be more in a more generic term. What about the user base? You mentioned about we have like a free librarian using the site. Is that how we're gonna design it? How many patrons that we are talking about? Right. Wonderful. That's a well both the size of the items. I mean the database. I'm thinking about the books, and also the size of the user. We need to be really scalable and right and we have like a potential 20 more than 20 million people, including the library and also the people that borrowing or lending the books, the users. And then what about the potential downtime that is acceptable level? Like, yeah, go ahead. So okay, so it's not like 24/7. Okay, good. So it's only open when the door is open. So when let's say when the door is not open, let's say it's a 9:30 p.m. at night. So what would the website display then? Oh, okay, 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 okay. I just to make sure that I have the right thing on my notebook. Um, Perfect. Okay. I think I got enough to get the thing going. I mean, if I need more clarification, I will ask you along the way. But also, how much time do we have to design this system today? Okay. Mhm. Wonderful. I love those clients. They are very friendly to work with. And also, speaking of the user base, um, about these 20 million people, are we talking about only the city of Toronto, or are we talking about? Oh, but this is only a city, right? It's only if right. Oh, right. Yeah, because I was thinking about CDN, but looks like we don't need CDN. So I'm gonna keep that in the back of my pocket in case this library want to go to international, but doesn't seem like it for now. Okay. Yeah, I think I have enough information. I put it on a piece of paper that for myself to understand my client's requirement. Um, I'm gonna get started to design, and feel free to jump in if I say something not clear. So on the application, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So I'm gonna design a web application that you know you have a front end, and then we have I'm gonna type it over here. We have front end, and of course we have the back end that deal with those requests come from the front end, and also the back end. So that's the highest level for now. And also I have the database sitting in the back as well. Just say DB over here. And front end, I'm gonna go with front end and then go work my way down to the back end. Not necessarily in this order in particular in order of importance, but for the cleaner structure in case I miss anything. The front end we can have the modern JavaScript framework or library, let's say React or Angular, right? This is some of the most popular single page application that we can single page library we can support on the front end, and then from the front end we can make some API calls. Are we going to design those API calls as well? Uh, mm-hmm. Great. Yeah. Totally. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Um, yeah, I'm gonna get to this design of API in a second, because that was the part of the design question, as you as um, you ask. So first, you have the API. This is where the client interact with the app. So we are basically taking in some API requests, and then we can have you know we can have I'm gonna have this guy over here to indicating this is the flow of the data that's sent to from the front end to the back end, and then we can have given that we have um, 20 million people, more than 20 million people have different roles. Some of the like they have the librarian role, or have the people like you and I that borrowing and lending books. So we can have a I'm going to talk about the roles in authorization later, but here as this if I'm going to start from here. So we have let's say a load rebalancer, given that we can only we need to update um, the the state, update the database within 1 hour the latest. So we have the load rebalancer, and we also can have some of the API gateway. Let's say this is could be like Amazon AWS API gateway, and then we can direct traffic. We can direct traffic to, let's say, um, as server one, server two, server three, what have what have you, right? So and then we can do so. Let's say on so this is what I have for the front end for now. I might come back to it later. Uh, and then when we go to the back end, it will take in all the requests from the front end, and then we will perform the logics over here, where it will interact with this API endpoint. This is URLs, right, or URI, if you prefer that. So and then this one will interact with the database. I think in terms of database, we have 1 billion of 1 billion of items. So one thing that I'm thinking right now is about the data migration, right? So right now they are on the on a piece of paper or on a box of items that keep track of the current system. So the first thing I'm thinking is about how to digitalize those records to be something that we can interact with the database, right? And um, so in terms of database, we need a billion record. Um, right. So not only we have the number of books for the record, also the how long the each one borrow each book. Right, right. Yeah, yeah, I understand. So essentially, we have like a uh, two. I mean, in the highest level, we have the two main things to keep track of. One is the inventory, that how many books that is being landed, or how many books that is still in the libraries, and then also to keep track of the transaction, like the people borrowing, lending at what point in time, and how long has been borrowed, and also from what site, right? And um, the first thing I was thinking about is SQL database, because we can have a chunk of data, and then the chunk, like a couple of tables that can interconnect in a relational basis. But I also concerned about the scalability, because given that we have well, only the inventory, this part is already taking a billion items, and then also we have to throw in the transaction as well. So we have like, even that each person is borrowing one book for 1 day for one site is already like a 1 billion of the transactions, and it can be greater than that. So I'm also thinking about the NoSQL as well, and NoSQL allows us to scale it more in a horizontal manner. But SQL we can short it as well. And but the shorting, after we shorting the SQL database, we have to think about the short keys and also the joins after being shorted. So there's pros and cons in this situation. But for now, I'm gonna go with the a NoSQL database for now, because of the scalability, and also we talked about the um, the time at which it need to be updated. So the latest need to be updated will be 1 hour. So immediately I was thinking about caching, so we can do some cache at the backend level. So the cache, we can use something like a Redis, and we can, so 1 hour. So everything we have to update every hour. So 1 hour, the latest. So Redis is more like a distributed caching sitting at the back end, so allows us to make the app more scalable. And I'm gonna write over here, we can have a NoSQL, let's say a MongoDB for now. But otherwise, I mean, if this one was not at that scale level of like a billion books or more than a billion of ad transaction, I would have gone to a SQL database like a Postgres or SQL. But in this case, because of the scalability, I went ahead and chose MongoDB. But we can revisit if some of my colleagues suggesting to me otherwise with a very strong evidence. But I'm going to have that for now, and I'm going to have my system sitting over here, and this is my server, and then we have the load again. We have a load rebalancing. We are rebalancing over here. We have API over here, and yeah, I'm gonna now some of the outstanding items I need to tackle. And first is um, about the these are my to-dos. I would say to-dos need to think about for myself. So first thing will be the roles, because we have the librarians, and also we have the patron. I'm not sure if I spell it correctly, but let's have that for now. So immediately I was thinking about. Sorry, go ahead. Okay, so we have librarians, admins, and patrons. So and here I was thinking about authentication, and also authorization, because obviously different role have access to different part of the app, right? So we have to be precise. This is going to be our authorization kind of thing, authorization, and then secondly, I'm going to design the API as we mentioned. So some of the APIs that sitting in the back end that will be waiting to be called in the front end. Sorry, hold on. Someone's ringing. Give me 1 sec. I'll be back. Sorry. Hello? Hello? Sorry. My deep apology. It's a delivery. Sorry for that today. Also the noise outside. I'm so sorry. Uh, yeah. So where was I? So yeah. So this is the APIs, and also caching. I was also thinking about the caching at the front end, but I don't think that I need that. At least not at this. At least not in this situation. And now, for the sake of time, I'm already half an hour in, so I'm gonna design some of these items, and then let's see how deep we can go inside. So I'm gonna talk about this API design. So let's say we can use in here we are using, let's say, a React, and then in the backend we are using, let's say, Node.js and Express. So the beauty of using the same JavaScript framework or library in both sides allow people that use the same programming language across. Also, Node.js is highly scalable. I think it's also very applicable for this app over here we're designing. So down here, I'm going to design some API endpoints that I'm going to talk a little bit about. So, and we can use Express as this is one of the popular library within Node that we can use for designing this API. So let's say the first API. So we're keeping track of the book system right here. So right here, so we can have I'm gonna have this. So I'm gonna have this word. So let's say if we are doing so for typically when I design API endpoint, I have a versioning going on. So let's say we want to do a V1 of the API right now. So I mean, the versioning of API allows us to do if we want to upgrade the API in the future, we can have some like a backward compatibility, inventory, and no, I'm not going to use this. I think I'm going to use media because it's like a more generic kind of terms that keep track of the medias, because it could be books, could be CDs, could be what we have in the library system. And so this is what I have for now. And also you can take in the the media ID. So essentially this is what we define in the database, where in the inventory, so we can have a for each of the object, we have a media ID. So this one will be generated whenever we post a new item to the system. So this is like a UUID, which uniquely identify the item that we are keeping track of. So let's design some API endpoint over here. So let's say if we are doing a post, and then we can doing a get, we are doing a put, or we are doing a delete. And let me think. Of course, in the database, in the API, we are also doing some pagination, and also filtering, and also sorting as well. This whole thing will be handled in the back end, so it make the whole app is a little bit more scalable. Also, some of this pagination or filtering can be cached as well. So we don't have to rerun the logic every time, at least not within the the 1 hour. So it will be cached, make it a bit more scalable. And let's see what do we have in here. And of course, the pagination, filtering, and sorting can be passed in. This parameter can be passed in as a query, that came with the URL as well. And so let's say if the default, let's say we have each page with like 20 items, right? And then we can have the index of the page. We can handle this pagination in the back end. So let's say if the post basically we are let me think. This is like a borrowing and lending kind of system, right? This is a borrowing and lending system. So post allows us to post a new item to the system. So let's say if today we have a new book or new magazine, so now that will go to the post endpoint, and then generate a new post, and then that will save it in the MongoDB database to generate a new items. And then what it return, we just return the newly created UUID, new UUID for the item. And get is basically checking the status of the item. right? And for example, in that database design over here, so first thing we have the item ID, or I'm gonna call it items. Yeah, items or media. Oh, I'm gonna call it media. Yeah, go ahead. Right, right. Yeah, good question. So um, we can potentially use um, a query that taking the book name. So in the database over here, we have the the ID over here, and then also, and let's say this is the one, and then we have the name of the item, right? This is called what we Robin Hood, and also the site that is keeping this item. Let's say site A, and for also Explorer. Let's say true. Yeah, I understand your question. That this basically the same book can have multiple copies, right? And but their unique ID will be not the same. Well, what we can do is to have a query over here. A query over here is called name, right? So if we pass in the name of the book, and if if the ID is not being passed, and if only pass the name, and then let's say uh, Robin Hood, and what is going to happen is to the get request, and it will search in the MongoDB for all the items that with the name Robinhood. Does it? Am I completely off track or right? And speaking of searching, which is very important feature right now in here, I'm going to have some sort of Elasticsearch sitting in front of the database when this is like a full text search that allows us to search all the document. And and yeah, so I'm gonna go with that. So continue with your example that we have the same name of the book but different copies, and being keep track of different site. And then now, so this is how we design the get request. Essentially, it will return uh, a JavaScript array that can be sent back to the front end. It allows us to display on the front end, tell them that this is what books are available, so they know which one. So because this one is keep track of the availability of the book, like is borrowed. This property keep track of like, and also we know that whether the book is available or not. And also we have some sort of like uh, cap 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 by. So by let's say cap by 001. So this identify the person who is keeping the item right now. 002. And so this is the get endpoint. And of course, as I mentioned, we can throw in the pagination, the filtering, sorting in the query as well. And this is the get endpoint. So post is that we are posting a new item to the MongoDB database. That whenever there's a new item, let's say new book arriving the library, we can utilize this post endpoint. The put is where we can check in or check out a particular book by the patron or by the librarians. So I think let me think. I'm thinking about who has access to this put endpoint, because from the authorization standpoint, I think a better way to do this is to only allow the librarian have access to the put endpoint that allows. So the librarian will help the patron to checking and check out and borrowing and lending certain book and returning certain book. So we can restrict this endpoint to we can put some middleware. We can put some middleware in this for this endpoint, so we can check the first of course we can check the authentication, and then we can check I'm going to put a spacing over here and make it more clear. Also put the authorization over here, make sure that this is the admin or the librarian that is helping the user to borrowing and lending the book. So in the put endpoint over here, we are taking an item over here that we want to borrow or we want to return, and same endpoint over here. So when we hit this endpoint, it will update. So let's say if we getting that particular book, let's say 001, and then it will go to the MongoDB database and update. The export. Oh, first thing is to check the availability to see whether the book is available for borrowing or lending, and for borrowing per se. So check whether get this item and then check whether it is available. Let's say if it is available, and then we can go ahead and update that to be borrowed. And also we need to give the person who is keeping the book as well to update this field as well. And to do that, we can also have a input query over here is called a user ID as well. So the user ID over here will be used to keep track of who is keeping the book right now. And also if we have the is borrow is true, and we can have the date that was borrowed. The date that was borrowed as well. So this is going to be a timestamp. And yeah, so I just want to check with you that, yeah, I think it was pretty fun. Um, but I, I still want to drill down a little bit more because we have still a few more minutes. Is that okay? Okay, okay. I mean, maybe I will wrap up a little bit, but I just want to give you an overview of like what of some of the remaining items that on the list. And again, given the time we have, I'm not going to go too deep. And because now we haven't gone to the. I mean, well, I touched base a little bit on the authorization authentication, which is very important. That this place I'm going to handle it in the back end to the the middleware where I can check for each request that's sending from the front end to check whether the role is authenticated or authorized to access to certain items. And also the something that I didn't have a chance to touch on was the transaction. So when the put endpoint get hit, so we can update the transaction as well. So the transaction we can have, the this keeps track of each transaction. Let's say a item that we are checking out. It's going to be item ID, and also we have also the transaction ID. Transaction ID. This is a uniquely identify which transaction that we are talking at. Also, the user or the patient ID as well, and also the starting borrowing the data the users are keeping the book whatever, and yeah, so we have this transaction table that keep track of it, and 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 yeah, so also we have the delete endpoint over here, allows us to delete the particular some of the items that's no longer um, in the system. And okay, I think I'm gonna leave it like this. Uh, Unless you have a specific question about around this designs. Yes, thank you. Yes, you're right. So it's pretty yeah, pretty standard. And I'm gonna ask you a question, Daniel. Can you walk me through a typical day that working in your company right now, and how does it look like? Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your day to day. Certainly I'm not an architect, but it's good to hear that the day-to-day life in a big tech company. And certainly this is very a bit similar to what I've been working, like Jira ticket part. Like I got typically within my team, grab a ticket, and I mean, first thing is I work with client, and then I propose some solution with the brainstorm with the team. Grab ticket, outstanding ticket, and then work on it, and then other people review my code, and I review other people's code, and then push to CI/CD. So of course, I'm not an architect, but this is I do understand your day to day life, and thank you for sharing. And Another question I have for you is that uh, in terms of this design, anything that you're looking at is not making sense, or anything that you don't like, that I still have a chance to correct it a little bit more. Mhm. Right. Hmm. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Yeah. If thank you. Yeah. If yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. And if I exactly, yeah, exactly. I 100% agree. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Though this interview problem is very practical and apply to day life, and also it also involved the technology I've been using at my current in my current team as well. That's why it's a little bit easier to digest and to have a deep dive to what I can potentially provide at your team as well. Yeah. Eh, And thank you so much, Daniel, for teaching me today, and also sharing your experience, also giving me very interesting question. One last thing before I let you go is about this design problem, which I really enjoy. If I had more time, I will enhance the security layer between the front end and the back end, and also I will enhance a little bit on the API design as well. Now it's only have like a only one entry point is for the items, but we can throw in some transaction as well. That's what I was thinking. But given how much time I have, and once again, thank you so much for your teaching and also for your time today. Hopefully, I have a chance to speak with you again, Daniel. Thank you so much. Thank you.